Well, hello, darlings. Oh, sorry I'm running a little late. I just found something gross in my teacup. What the hell? This is clean 2 seconds ago. Oh, I blame the pollen of Richmond. It's gonna be fine. No one will die. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. I hope you have your nightcaps on. I know I do, and I'm gonna drink the water out of this dirty teacup. Well, the water's fine. Funny story about this water. I actually collected it. I hauled it myself. I'm not just drinking it out of the skull of a thwarted enemy. I actually well, I didn't pull it up from the ground, but it pushed itself up through the ground at a natural spring in Richmond, Virginia, and I captured some of it before it found its way down to the James River. The James, or the Powhatan River, is disgusting. It is filthy, and I mean that very literally right now. Apparently, a sewage pipe broke and just dumped a bunch of people's dump right into the James. But this is very clean. It's been tested. I'm imagining it has a very high pH, which is good for the hydration. So I go about once a week and I get my jugs worth, which, 5 liters fills up in about 10 seconds. That is, and it's pushing out twice as much as that, 4 times as much as that, like so much. And it's this darling little stone outcropping that someone laid down, some like WPA era person laid down a wall. It's really darling. So, but now it is time for stories. It's not just time for hydration. It's God, Jesus, every time. It's still a bit hot, so I don't have the air conditioning on. So let's shed a layer first and foremost. Let's do that. Oh, all right. Ugh. It's rainbow. Rainbow. This is Hong Kong silk. I found it in a thrift store. And this is where we crawl in. This is where we crawl into bed. All right. So I'm gonna do it where I hold on. Ah, oh, shit! I just spilled some on my pillow. I won't notice. I've had wet hair. It's just gonna be like going to bed with wet hair, right? Ugh. Ugh. Oh, I'm caught in my own cord. It's just, everything's nailed it. Although I have to say, I'm a little worried that I spilled a fair amount of this liquid on my pillow. I need it. I need it for hydration. Hello, dear ones. As usual, it is a Monday night, and you find yourself here with me, your GlamourHobo bedtime tale teller. Nobody wants to watch me get in gracefully. There would be no comedy in that. But I am wearing my gift from Johnny O Twitch, the Metatron's Cube ring that they sent. I love it. Next to my blue topaz, which I also love, and my aquamarine. To set the scene, as usual, we are in my bed chamber, and it smells faintly of frankincense because I usually am burning frankincense incense. And it's warm, and I've lit a candle. I have lit a candle for the gods to shine their blessings of speedy communication and ease. Oh, I just realized something. I totally forgot. All right, everybody, hold your breath. It's just going to take 5 seconds. I held my breath the whole time. Did you? All right. I just realized I wasn't on the hard line. So the quality wasn't up to par. All right. So how has your week been, everyone? Just drop it in the comments. I love hearing from you. It's been a week already. It's kind of flown by. It's been a weird time. And I'll be on the road for most of the next week. So I should be home by next Monday. But if I'm not, then you could be getting a GlamourHobo bedtime tale from somewhere in Pennsylvania or Ohio. How exciting would that be? I have no particular rant for you this evening. Other than I did get a COVID test today and it turned out negative. Super easy, super free. I highly recommend that you test frequently. And make sure that you are healthy and keeping your communities healthy as well. All right, so in the comments, I see Mage Aquila got to a fair. Which fair? Which fair did you go to? Hello, Bill. Yay, vacation. Huzzah for next week. The rant may show up later. You never know. I have no rant planned. Other than to say get tested for all the things. There's no shame in knowing exactly where your health is in this world. Sexual health, COVID health, cancer health. You know, every once in a while I go to a doctor, and by every once in a while I mean like every 2 years, and I just say like run the tests, make sure I don't have secret cancer. And I never have. I haven't done that in a while, so I don't actually know if I have secret cancer right now or not, but I know I don't have COVID. So it's just the pollen of my city and my inability to give up gluten or dairy that is keeping me slightly under the weather. Mental health is another one. Get your mental health checked, your sexual health checked, your keep your engines running in a way that allows you to live your best life and to integrate the best with the people around you so that you can build a better community. It's not a rant, but it is a public service announcement. That's what I'll say. You went to Kitty's Fair and got accosted. Well, that sounds fun. Wait, Great Lakes Medieval Fair up in Ohio? That's my fair. That's my home fair. That is the fair I grew up going to. Oh my God, I love it so much. I'll admit I haven't been to it in probably 20 years. I'm having a hard time saying that because it just can't be true. It simply cannot be true. I'll say between 15 and 20 fair years. The Great Lakes Medieval Fair is, in my day, was excellent. I never worked it. I always wanted to so badly. I had friends who worked it, and I thought they were just the coolest. But it was a 3-hour drive from where I lived. So it was a real haul. And I didn't have a car, and my mother had no interest in driving me. But I was basically a super fan. I would go probably 4 times a season. It's only like a six weekend or 8 weekend fair. And I really found out a lot about who I was and my own style and fashion sense. And I still, Great Lakes Medieval Fair for me is the gold standard for the medieval fair experience and for the festival experience. And here is why. Because you park and you go through a set of gates, like a real set of gates, and it's in the woods. I didn't have any idea that other medieval fairs were out in fields. That sounded like a nightmare to me. And I'll say, it is. It is a nightmare. A medieval fair with no trees is one of the circles of hell. I am sure of it. But you would go through these gates, and then it immediately crashed on you. Like, everyone was speaking in their correct accent. Everyone was in character. No one was talking about the weather or the drive there. Everyone was totally in it. And the people who attended were pulled into that activity as well, that magnetism. And the first booth in the fair, the very first booth, it actually was in the road, and it split the road into two. I still remember this. The food court to the left, and then this way was like where the drum and the boot guy, and the maze was that way. Anyways, right in the front was a costume rental booth, and it looked like a German chalet. There was 2 stories, and it, for a reasonable amount of money, and I mean less than $300, which is just a fuck ton of money considering, they would outfit you for the day in period appropriate garb. Not period accurate, but like a day at the fair. So like a chemise and a kirtle. Men could rent a kilt. And like you get a belt, you get you get the things. And it's my understanding also that they would potentially hold your stuff for you. If you had like an overly modern bag or something, they would hold it. But it was brilliant because it got people into the mood and into the swing of it and into the embodiment of it. And from a business point of view, it's fucking brilliant because then people fall in love with what they're wearing and then they buy it from people in the fair or from that exact booth. Like, it's so smart. It is so smart. So like, and it was right at the beginning. I think there was like a hair braiding place right at the beginning as well. Like, get your fairy hair, get your hair braided. So you didn't actually have to walk far as a muggle. You could be like dropped like Westworld style through this like chute that put you into the medieval fair jumpsuit, and you're ready to go. It was so smart. It was so smart. Okay. People are talking about Sterling and Maryland and Parf. Hi, Sally. Parf was fun. Parf was nice. I really like all of their, again, like Great Lakes, they have a lot of permanent enclosures, which I totally am here for. Start your own fair. That's certainly a big dream. I salute you, sir. Agreed on the experience. It's all randomly laid out and natural. Just felt right. Yeah. Sterling is in the wood, but it's just so many hills. Yes, Great Lakes is very flat. Also, they have a real joust, which a lot of people don't have. I grew up very spoiled with this fair, like super, super spoiled. I usually skip the joust, but can't say I noticed it was there. I have a closet of custom, of course. Pirate Weekend. I posted a pic on your Discord. Oh, cool. Yeah, I love it. I love the commitment to immersion. And that is to wrap up this and move into the next thing. I just finished my inaugural run of my show, The Journey to the Kingdom of Hypnos. And it got Pick of the Week by No Proscenium. They did a really nice review and they had a bit of a chat with me about it, or chat about it. I would like them to have a chat with me about it. I have tons to say. So that's nice. And then it's technically its next official season. It starts on September 9th for the Philly Fringe Festival. But I think I'm going to do a sneaky little secret season in between. So get at me if you want to get a $9 ticket to my show, Journey to the Kingdom of Hypnos, which is an immersive audio experience. Thank you, Bill. And I was listening to the No Proscenium folks talk about like what is an immersive experience? Like what is immersive theater? Why is it any different from like devised theater or proscenium style theater or whatever? And I don't think they've done one yet, but they don't review Renaissance fairs. They don't I don't think they think it's part of the experience, but I fucking do. I think that the Renaissance fair, other than cabaret, which is kind of died and only exists in some places, is one of the like American immersive theatrical art forms. I should say cabaret isn't really immersive, it's more intimate and immediate, but like medieval fairs are, Renaissance fairs are. They're 100% an immersive experience, and the best ones commit to that. That's my absolute sincere opinion, is that like a Renaissance fair can be a shopping mall, or a Renaissance fair can be a time traveling event filled with things that you love, where you are invited to travel and be your best self or your favorite self, along with a bunch of other people doing the same thing. And it doesn't have to be about how much money you spend or if you have the right outfit, but like you are treated to the entertainment and the staff all being on the level about creating an experience as if this were another time in another place, that this is a pocket dimension. I want that. What I would do, Ansa and I have actually talked about the idea of a fantasy fair or a phantasma fair, where it is like a pocket universe where anything goes. So there is steampunk stuff, and there's Renaissance stuff, and there's solar punk stuff, and there's uh literati, and there's, you know, it just could be so cool. Will it make any money? I don't know. All right. So shall we read? I have heard about Evermore. And there is a difference between an immersive experience and an immersive museum and a selfie museum, which are, it is different. It is a different experience. The point, I still think that there needs to be a narrative and there needs to be a reason, other than like, this is a visually stunning place that I will enjoy taking a photo in. That's not immersion to me. That's installation. That's visual art installation. All right. I went on a rant. Johnny O'Twitch, you got what you wanted. You got a rant. All right. Oh, I was very hopeful that I could be at the Connecticut Fair this year, and it did not work out, sadly. Very close. Very close to being on that fine roster, but not this year. So, my darlings, we have two books today. One, of course, Hitchhiker's Guide, and the other is a new sci-fi pulp. This one is by Roger Zelazny. Classic novel of the final conflict between the gods of life and death, millennia in the future. This was called Creatures of Light and Darkness. I'm going to read you the back because it's, I think someone sent this to me, but it might have shown up in the tiny free library in front of Awesome Town. I'm not sure. Okay. Bill, you are entitled to your opinion, but remember, don't be a dick here in the comments. That goes for everybody. All right, the back of the book says, 1,000 years ago, The middle worlds of life were ruled by the angels, immortals who maintained the fragile balance of existence while bowing to one only, the prince who was 1,000. But the prince is long fallen, his angels and their stations long destroyed. Now Anubis and Osiris rule the twin houses of life and death, and their terrible reign has seen feast and famine overrun the 6 races of man and all the worlds they occupy. One such world is bliss. Now to this place come emissaries from the twin houses, bent on destroying the only remaining threat to their power, the long-vanished prince, and all those who would dare stand with him. $10 says there are no women in this book. $10. $10 says there's no women in this book. All right. I was going to bring up how inspirational the Amazon space flight was. Johnny on Twitch knows how to bait me. That's for sure. Inspirational. I am inspired to eat the rich. I am inspired to eat the rich. All right, so this is the like, look at that. He's a cyborg. Okay. Again, no talking shit in the comments, please. I called out Bill for it, and I'm calling out you as well, Magikila, Akila. I know I can't say your name right, but I'm telling you. Everyone's entitled to their informed opinions, but let's keep this spot away from character destruction. The only character destruction I want to see is what's going to happen in here, or maybe in here. I don't know. Can you see that there's gold foil? God, I love this book. All right, where are we going? Which one are we doing first? There's a woman in there somewhere. $10. All right. I think we're going to go get weird fast today. I think we're going to go Creatures of Light and Darkness. And I have not read this. I have not proofed this or screened this. So if I stumble upon something really ugly, we'll just stop and we will acknowledge it. It's entirely possible. When was this published? '69. 1969. Oh my god. To Chip Delaney. Just because. All right. Jesus Christ. You guys let me talk for 30 minutes before the reading started. I think that's actually why you're here. You're not actually here for me reading books. You're here for the rant. You're here for the nightgown and the hats. I know the truth. All right. Is there anything else I wanted to tell you? I'll remember it later. Okay. There are a bunch of quotes at the beginning. Like actual... Is it a Bible quote? I don't know. Let's read it. This is from Harris. It says Harris 500, chapter 6, verses 2 through 9. I don't think there was a Saint Harris in the Bible, but I'm an infidel, so I can't be sure. Generations pass away and others go on, since the time of the ancestors. They that build buildings, their places are no more. What has been done to them? I have heard the words of Imhotep and Hardef, with whose sayings men speak so much. What are their places now? Their walls are crumbled, their places are non-existent, as if they had never been. No one returns from there, so that he might tell us of their disposition, that he might tell us how they are, that he might still our hearts until we shall go to the place where they have gone. Make holiday and weary not therein. Behold, it is not given to a man to take his property with him. Behold, no one who goes can come back again. That might be from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I'm unclear. It's the place to be. All right. And then there's a quote from Milton that says, Comus enters with a charming rod in one hand, his glass in the other. With him a rout of monsters, headed like sundry sorts of wild beasts. They come in making a riotous and unruly noise with torches in their hands. And this last one by Blake, who is a total fucking wizard, by the way. The human dress is forged iron. The human form is fiery forge. The human face is a furnace sealed. The human heart is hungry gorge. All right, how that sets us up for this, I have no idea. Let's find out. Prelude in the House of the Dead. I'm going to move this off my boob a bit. Better. The man walks through his 1,000-year eve in the house of the dead. If you could look about the enormous room through which he walks, you couldn't see a thing. It is far too dark for eyes to be of value. This reminds me a lot of my show, I'm just saying. For this dark time, we'll simply refer to him as the man. There are two reasons for this. First, he fits the general and generally accepted description of an unmodified male human model being, walking upright, having opposable thumbs, and possessing the other typical characteristics of the profession. And second, because his name has been taken from him. There is no reason to be more specific at this point. In his right hand, the man bears the staff of his master, and it guides him through the dark. It tugs him this way, that way. It burns his hands, his fingers, his opposing thumb, if his foot strays a step from its ordained path. When the man reaches a certain place within the darkness, he mounts seven steps to a stone dais and raps 3 times upon it with the staff. Then there is light, dim and orange and crowded into corners. It shows the edges of the enormous, unfilled room. He reverses the staff and screws it into a socket in the stone. Had you ears in that room, you would hear a sound as of winged insects circling near you, withdrawing and returning. Only the man hears it, though. There are over 2,000 other people present, but they are all of them dead. There we go. They come up out of the transparent rectangles which now appear in the floor, come up unbreathing, unblinking, and horizontal, and they rest upon invisible catafalques at the height of 2 feet, and their garments and their skins are of all colors, and their bodies of all ages. Now some have wings, and some have tails, and some have horns, and some have talons. Some have all these things, and some have pieces of machinery built into them, and some do not. Many others look like the man, unmodified. The man wears yellow breeches and a sleeveless shirt of the same color. His belt and cloak are black. He stands beside his master's gleaming staff, and he regards the dead beneath him. "Get up!" he calls. "All of you!" And his words mix with the humming that is in the air and are repeated over and over and over again, not like an echo fading, but persistent and recurring with the force of an electric alarm. The air is filled and stirred. There comes a moaning and a creaking of brittle joints, then movement. Rustling, clicking, chafing. They sit up. They stand up. Then sound and movement cease, and the dead stand like unlit candles beside their opened graves. The man climbs down from the dais, stands a moment before it, then says, "Follow me!" And he walks back the way he came, leaving his master's staff vibrating in the gray air. As he walks, he comes to a woman who is tall and golden and a suicide. He stares into her unseeing eyes and says, "Do you know me?" And the orange lips, the dead lips, the dry lips move and they whisper, "No." But he stares longer and says, "Did you know me?" And the air hums with his words until she says, "No," once again, and he passes her by. He questions 2 others, a man who had been an ancient of days with a clock built into his left wrist, and a black dwarf with horns and hooves and the tail of a goat, but both say, "No." And they fall into step behind him, and they follow him out of that enormous room and into another, where more lie under stone, not really waiting to be called forth for his 1,000-year eve in the house of the dead. You're right, there was a woman in the story. She spoke. So far, it passes the Bechdel test. Technically, she's dead. But it's such a low bar. You win $10. All right, I'll make you a deal. You can drop me a tenner in the tippy for the reading, and I'll send it back to you. And then we'll call it even. All right, moving on. This is a quiet reminder that you can tip your reader. The man leads them. He leads the dead whom he has summoned back to movement, and they follow him. They follow him through corridors and galleries and halls, and up wide, straight stairways and down narrow, winding stairways, and they come at last to the great hall of the House of the Dead, where his master holds his court. He sits on a black throne of polished stone, and there are metal bowls of fire to his right and his left. On each of the 2,000 pillars that lined his high hall, a torch blazes and flickers, and its spark-shot smoke coils and puffs upward, becoming at last a gray part of the flowing cloud that covers the ceiling completely. He does not move, but he regards the man as he advances across the hall. 5,000 of the dead at his back, and his eyes lay red upon him as he comes forward. The man prostrates himself at his feet, and he does not move until he is addressed. "You may greet me and rise," come the words, each of them sharp, throaty stab in the midst of an audible exhalation. "Hail, Anubis, master of the House of the Dead," says the man, and he stands. Anubis lowers his black muzzle slightly, and his fangs are white within it. Red lightning, his tongue darts forward, re-enters his mouth. He stands then, and the shadows slide downward upon his bare and man-formed body. He raises his left hand, and the humming sound comes into the hall, and is carried to his words through the flickering light and the smoke. "You who are the dead," he says, "tonight you will disport yourselves for my pleasure. Food and wine will pass between your dead lips, though you will not taste it. Your dead stomachs will hold it within you, while your dead feet take the measure of a dance. Your death mouths will speak words that will have no meaning to you, and you will embrace one another without pleasure. You will sing for me if I wish it. You will lie down again when I will it." He raised his right hand. "Let the revelry begin," he says, and he claps his hands together. Then the tables slide forward from between the pillars, laden with food and with drink, and there is music upon the air. The dead move to obey him. "You may join them," Anubis says to the man, and he resets himself upon his throne. The man crosses to the nearest table and eats lightly and drinks a glass of wine. The dead dance about him, but he does not dance with them. They make noises which are words without meaning, and he does not listen to them. He pours a second glass of wine, and the eyes of Anubis are upon him as he drinks it. He pours a third glass, and he holds it in his hands and sips at it, and stares into it. How much time has passed he cannot tell when Anubis says, "Servant!" He stands, turns. "Approach," says Anubis, and he does. "You may rise. You know what night tonight is?" "Yes, master, it is a 1,000-year eve." "It is your 1,000-year eve. This night we celebrate an anniversary. You have served me for a full 1,000 years in the House of the Dead. Are you glad?" "Yes, master." "You recall my promise?" "Yes. You told me that if I served you faithfully for 1,000 years, then you would give me back my name. You would tell me who I had been in the middle worlds of life." "I beg your pardon, but I did not." I told you that I would give you a name, which is a different thing altogether." "But I thought—" "I do not care what you thought. Do you want a name?" "Yes, master." "But you would prefer your old one? Is that what you are trying to say?" "Yes." Do you really think that anyone would remember your name after 10 centuries? Do you think that you were so important in the Middle Worlds that someone would have noted down your name, that it would have mattered to anyone? I do not know. But you want it back. If I may have it, master. Why? Why do you want it? Because I remember nothing of the worlds of life. I would like to know who I was when I dwelled there. Why? For what purpose? I cannot answer you because I do not know. Of all the dead, you know that I have brought only you back to full consciousness to serve me here. Do you feel this means that perhaps there is something special about you? I have often wondered why you did as you did. Then let me give you ease, man. You are nothing. You were nothing. You are not remembered. Your mortal name does not signify anything. The man lowers his eyes. Do you doubt me? No, master. Why not? Because you do not lie. Then let me show it. I took away your memories of life only because they would give you pain among the dead. But now, let me demonstrate your anonymity. There are over 5,000 of the dead in this room from many ages and places. Anubis stands, and his voice carries to every presence in the hall. Attend me, maggots! Turn your eyes towards this man who stands before my throne. Face them, man. The man turns about. Man, know that today you do not wear the body you slept in last night. You look now as you did 1,000 years ago when you came to the house of the dead. My dead ones, are there any of you here present who can look upon this man and say that you know him? A golden girl steps forward. I know this man, a girl says, through orange lips, because he spoke to me in the other hall. That I know, but who is he? He is the one who spoke to me. That is no answer. Go and copulate with yon purple lizard. And what of you, old man? He spoke to me also. That I know. Can you name him? I cannot. Then go and dance on yonder table and pour wine over your head. What of you, black man? This man also spoke to me. Do you know his name? I did not know it when he asked me. Then burn, cries Anubis, and fires fall down from the ceiling and leap out from the walls and crisp the black man to ashes, which move then in slow eddies across the floor, passing among the ankles of the stopped dancers, falling finally into dust. You see, there is none to name you as once you were known. I see. But the last might have had further words. To waste! You are unknown and unwanted, save by me. This because you are fairly adept at the very embalming arts that you occasionally compose a clever epitaph. Thank you, master. What good would a name and memories do you here? None, I suppose. Yet you wish a name, so I shall give you one. Draw your dagger. The man draws the blade which hangs at his left side. Now cut off your thumb. Which thumb, master? The left one will do. The man bites his lower lip and tightens his eyes, and he drags the blade across the joint of his thumb. His blood falls upon the floor. It runs along the blade of the knife and trickles from its point. He drops to his knees and continues to cut, tears streaming down his cheeks and falling to mingle with the blood. His breath comes in gasps, and a single sob escapes him. Then, "It's done. Here!" He drops the blade and offers Anubis his thumb. "I don't want the thing. Throw it into the flames." With his right hand, the man throws his thumb into the brazier. It sputters, sizzles, flares. "Now cup your left hand and collect the blood within it." The man does this. "Now raise it above your head and let it drip down upon you." He raises his hand and the blood falls into his forehead. "Now repeat after me. I baptize me. I baptize me. Joachim of the house of the dead. Joachim of the house of the dead. In the name of Anubis. In the name of Anubis. Joachim. Joachim. Emissary of Anubis in the middle worlds. Emissary of Anubis in the middle worlds. And beyond. And beyond. Hear me now, O you dead ones. I proclaim this man Joachim. Repeat his name. Joachim, comes the word through dead lips. So be it. You are named now, Joachim. It is fitting, therefore, that you feel your birth into namehood, that you come away changed by this thing, O my named one. Anubis raises both hands about his head and lowers them to his sides. Resume dancing, he commands the dead. They move to the music once more. The body-cutting machine rolls into the hall, and the prosthetic replacement machine follows it. Joachim looks away from them, but they draw up beside him and stop. The first machine extrudes restrainers and holds him. Human arms are weak, says Anubis. Let these be removed. The man screams as the saw blades hum. Then he passes out, and the dead continue their dance. When Joachim wakens, two seamless silver arms hang at his sides, cold and insensitive. He flexes his fingers. And human legs be slow and capable of fatigue. Let those he wears be exchanged for tireless metal. When Joachim awakens the second time, he stands upon silver pillars. He wiggles the toes. Anubis' tongue darts forth. Place your right hand into the flames and hold it there until it glows white. The music falls around him and the flames caress his hand until it matches their red. The dead talk their dead talk and drink the wine they do not taste. They embrace one another without pleasure. The hand glows white. Now, says Anubis, seize your manhood with your right hand and burn it away. Joachim licks his lips. Master, do it! He does this thing, and he falls into unconsciousness before he has finished. When he awakens again and looks down upon himself, he is all of gleaming silver, sexless and strong. When he touches his forehead, there comes the sound of metal upon metal. How do you feel, Joachim? Asks Anubis. I do not know, he answers, and his voice seems strange and harsh. Anubis gestures to the nearest side of the cutting machine because it is a reflecting surface. Regard yourself. Joachim stares into the shining egg that is his head, at the yellow lenses his eyes, the gleaming barrel his chest. Men may begin and end in many ways. Some may start as machines and gain their humanity slowly. Others may end up as machines, losing humanity by pieces as they live. That which is lost may always be regained. That which is gained may always be lost. What are you, Joachim? A man or a machine? I do not know. Then let me confuse you further. Anubis gestures, and Joachim's arms and legs come loose, fall away. His metal torso clangs against the stone, rolls, then lies at the foot of the throne. Now you lack mobility. He reaches forward with his foot and touches a tiny switch on the back of Joaquin's head. Now you lack all senses but hearing. Yes. Now a connection is being attached to you. You feel nothing, but your head is opened and you are about to become a part of the machine which monitors and maintains this entire world. See it now. I do, he replies as he becomes conscious of every room, corridor, hall, and chamber in the always dead, never alive world that has never been a world made, not begotten or coalesced star stuff, and the fires of creation, but hammered and jointed, riveted and fused, insulated and decorated, not into seas and land and air and life, but oils and metals and stone and wall of energy, all hung together within the icy void where no sun shines. And he is aware of distances, stresses, weights, materials, pressures, and the secret numbers of the dead. He is not aware of his body, mechanical and disconnected. He knows only the waves of maintenance movement that flow through the house of the dead. He flows with them, and he knows the colorless colors of quantity perception. Then Anubis speaks. You know that every shadow in the house of the dead. You have looked through all the hidden eyes. Yes, now see what lies beyond. There are stars, scattered stars, blackness all between. They ripple and fold and bend, and they rush toward him, rush by him. Their colors are blazing and pure as angels' eyes, and they pass near, pass far, in the eternity through which he seems to move. There is no sense of real time or real movement, only a changing of the field. A great blue tuffet box of a sun seems to soar beside him for a moment, and then again becomes black, all about him, and more small lights that pass distantly. And he comes at last to a world that is not a world, citrine and azure and green, green, green. A green corona hangs around it, at thrice its own diameter, and it seems to pulsate with a pleasant rhythm. Behold, the house of life, says Anubis from somewhere. And he does. It is warm and glowing and alive. He has a feeling of aliveness. Osiris rules the house of life, says Anubis. And he holds the great bird head atop human shoulders, bright yellow eyes within it, alive, alive, oh, and the creature stands before him on an endless plain of living green, which is superimposed upon his view of the world, and he holds the staff of life in his one hand and the book of life in the other. He seems to be the source of the radiant warmth. Joachim then hears the voice of Anubis again. The house of life and the house of the dead contain the middle worlds. And there is a falling, swirling sensation, and Joachim looks upon stars once more, but stars separated and held from other stars by bonds of force that are visible, then invisible, then visible again, fading, coming, going, white, glowing, lights fluctuating. You now perceive the middle worlds of life. And dozens of worlds roll before him like balls of exotic marble, stippled, gouged, polished, incandescent, contained. They are contained within the field which arcs between the only two poles that matter. Poles, says the metal head that is Joachim, the house of life and the house of the dead. The middle worlds are about their suns do move and all together go on the paths of life and death. I do not understand, says Joachim. Of course you do not understand. What is at the same time the greatest blessing and the greatest curse in the universe? I do not know. Life or death? I do not understand. You used the superlative. You called me for one answer. You named two things, however. Did I? Really? Just because I used two words, does it mean that I have named two separate and distinct things? May a thing not have more than one name? Take yourself, for example. What are you? I do not know. That may be the beginning of wisdom, then. You could be easily a machine which I chose to incarnate as a man for the time, and have now returned to a metal casing, as you could be a man whom I have chosen to incarnate as a machine. Then what difference does it make? None. None whatsoever. But you cannot make the distinction. You cannot remember. Tell me, are you alive? Yes. Why? I think, I hear your voice, I have memories, I can speak. Which of these qualities is life? Remember that you do not breathe. Your nervous system is a mass of metallic strands that I have burnt your heart. Remember, too, that I have machines who can out-reason you, out-remember you, out-talk you. What does that leave you with as an excuse for saying you are alive? You say that you hear my voice, and hearing is a subjective phenomenon? Very well. I shall disconnect your hearing also. Watch closely to see whether you cease to exist. One snowflake drifting down a well without waters, without walls, without bottom, without top. Now take away the snowflake and consider the drifting. After a timeless time, Anubis's voice comes once again. Do you know the difference between life and death? I am life. Whatever you give or take away, if I remains, it is life. Sleep, says Anubis, and there is nothing to hear him there in the house of the dead. How much more is in this chapter? Jesus. No. We're not getting through this chapter. I need it. Oh, what page is this? 22. We're going to stop there at page 22. What do you think? The name. You like my Anubis voice? Thank you very much. Or you don't like it? Thank you very much. I was not expecting this to be as much of a philosophical debate. I was expecting like much more weirdness and less like what I usually think about in my own head. But that is Creatures of Light and Darkness by Roger Zelazny. And I think we will be reading more of that next week. Dear ones, it is my pleasure and my privilege to be here with you on Monday nights on the Nat 21 channel. Again, it's a good way to spend your Monday evening, to just wind down or wind up with me if I'm on a rant or if I'm reading you some weird philosophical sci-fi that I found in the garbage, essentially. And a reminder that if you're nourishing the service, please tip or join my Patreon, where you can haze me even more, as Johnny O'Twitch can tell you. And I will be on the road, so get at me. I'm going to post up the secret season for Journey to the Kingdom of Hypnos if you haven't caught it, so you can catch it before its debut at the Philly Fringe. And take care of one another and take care of yourselves. Go get a COVID test, wear your masks, be kind to one another and to yourselves if you're into that. I find it difficult to be kind to myself, but dressing how I want to dress and wearing the moon on my head certainly steps in that direction. So, dear ones, good night. Good night.